Thanks for the nice introduction. I'm Bowen, a third-year PhD student from Singapore University of Technology and Design. I'm going to share about our paper, a first look into DeFi oracles. This is a joint work with my supervisor Pavel and Jianying, who are both from SUTD. A blockchain must be a great thing in recent years. A blockchain is a public ledger where a list of blocks are linked by crypto algorithm. To interact with the blockchain, the users invoke the so-called transactions. Let's see Alice sends some cryptocurrency to Bob. Such a transaction will be manned by a number of decentralized nodes over consensus protocols, such as proof of work or proof of stake. Eventually, all the decentralized nodes will reach the agreement, and this transaction will be appended into the blockchain permanently. Ethereum is the second largest blockchain platform that can be regarded as a decentralized and replicated state machine, whose state is maintained as a proof of work blockchain. One highlight of Ethereum is that it can run programs over the blockchain. Such a program is so-called the smart contract. Compared with the traditional contract between human beings, the smart contract can facilitate arbitrary logic of value. Any agreements can be represented by code. As a result, in the world of smart contract, the code is a law. Blockchain-based decentralized finance, short for DeFi, have attracted recent surge in visibility and popularity, and its market cap value exceeds $125 billion. DeFi aims at extending the promise of smart contracts, proposing novel and traditional financial tools built on the top of a blockchain-based smart contract platforms. DeFi offers multiple advantages over traditional finance. First of all, it inherits the blockchain properties like decentralization, openness, accessibility, and censorship resistance. Secondly, DeFi is highly flexible, allowing for rapid innovation and experiments by combining staking or connecting different financial instruments. Finally, DeFi provides interoperable services. Generally, new DeFi platforms can be built or composed by combining other DeFi platforms. An interesting trend in decentralized finance is decentralized lending protocols such as MakerDAO and Compound. By offloading the traditional credit checking and reducing the cost with automation, they are actually a pool of assets that derive interest rates based on the supply and demand for the particular asset type. As borrowers and lenders typically operate without knowing your customers, the borrower's debt must be over collateral by locking the value out of access until the outstanding debt is paid. Another examples are automatic market maker exchange like Uniswap, which proposed an liquidity pool with multiple assets by eliminating the traditional limitation of order book-based exchange. In market maker exchange, the owner deploys a smart contract first to govern the trading regulation by which trader can purchase and sell the assets from the liquidity pool. Furthermore, derivations such as synthetics is another new emerging category, which allows to create synthetic assets whose price can track currencies, cryptocurrencies, and commodities. The holders first lock their native token as collateral to mint the synthetic tokens, which are intended to track the value of target value, such as USD dollars, ETH, or gold. I would take MakerDAO as an example to roughly demonstrate the workflow. As shown in this figure, by leveraging their cryptocurrency into a MakerDAO contract as a collateral, users are able to generate its native token DAI, a kind of multiple collateral token that can be treated in the same manner as any other cryptocurrencies. In return, the platform occurs the debt known as over-collateral loans, determined by the collateralization ratio, locking them out of exercise until the outstanding debt is paid. The ratio is set, for instance, 115%. That helps the platform owner to manage the risk. When the users want to retrieve their collateral, they have to pay down the debt first. Apparently, all these systems require real-time information about the market price of the assets used as collateral and redemption, as the price of cryptocurrency is volatile. To implement this functionality, Oracle is proposed, a third party reporting the price of assets from real-world or off-chain sources. An oracle acts as a source of data that is being fed to a smart contract. In practice, an oracle can feed any information, such as cryptocurrency's price, stock data, weather information, or even some breaking news. In this paper, we discuss mainly the price data of DeFi. The methodologies of Oracle can be divided into three general categories. In centralized design, each reference price is determined by an aggregator, a central party, who aggregates the price from off-chain multiple sources and calculates the final prices sent to the platform. On-chain Oracle solutions allow platforms to get their price data immediately from some on-chain exchange, such as Uniswap. Chainlink proposed a hybrid solution by implementing a decentralized Oracle networks that operate both on-chain and off-chain simultaneously. The on-chain component is to establish a blockchain connection, broadcast the data, and perform computations, while the off-chain oracles are introduced for retrieving external data and sending to the blockchain. Although Oracle plays a critical role in the DeFi ecosystems, the underlying mechanisms of Oracle are ambiguous and unexplored at the time we wrote the paper. First of all, their deployment practice, including how frequent the price updates and how to aggregate the price value from multiple nodes, for example, are not transparent and accountable, leaving room for the various misbehaviors. Secondly, how precisely they report the market price to the blockchain is unclear and most likely unknown to many participants of the ecosystems. Finally, the impact of potentially malicious Oracle on the DeFi ecosystem is not investigated, and can we provide any improvement recommendations? Following these motivations, we select these 4 top DeFi platforms and who employ the Oracle as data phase, investigate the performance of their oracles. Please note that At the time we wrote the paper, the scale of Uniswap is not that large yet. You know, the DeFi ecosystem is evolving very fast. Therefore, we didn't pick up Uniswap as a measurement example. We measure and report on the price deviation between the market price and price reported by the oracles. We try to find out some failures or anomalies that may indicate oracle malfunctions or misbehaviors. We further analyze the transaction graph of oracle showing their interactions with the ecosystems. And eventually, based on our discovery, we put forward some recommendations in terms of improvements. To conduct the study, we select active oracles with most frequent reporting behaviors. For MakerDAO, Compound, and Synthetics, the oracle report ETH to USD pair rates. For Ampleforce, we investigate its official market oracle, which reports Ample token to USD dollar rate. In our experiments, we consider an oracle's claimed sources as its baseline for the given asset price. For instance, at the time we wrote the paper, Coinbase and Kraken are the two sources of Compound oracle. Moreover, as a methodologies of price reporting by oracle are not specified for each baseline sources, we show its real-time raw price and the median value over 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 60 minutes. We use Google's BigQuery database to get the data about the oracle interactions with their DeFi platforms. For each oracle, we analyze its all transactions by extracting their data and metadata, passing the data to the readable price format, and compare it with the real-world price sources that the oracle is supposed to be following. Let's see some interesting findings. Firstly, you may notice that the price data reported by oracle from both four platforms suffer from obvious deviations. More specifically, there is a substantial numbers of deviations, with most of them being within the 5% range. However, a few outlier reports indicate very large deviations. For instance, some reports by MakerDAO's oracle deviate more than 10%. More interestingly, in Ampleforce, there is a single outlier report with an extreme large deviation value, that is 273%. I will discuss this further. We also calculate the average deviation of each data source for all platforms to investigate which data source is more accurate for a given platform. Here we got two findings. On the one hand, the Ampleforce oracle suffers from largest deviations. On the other hand, the average deviation for other three platforms in our measurement is around 2.5%, which seems to be tolerable. But in some extreme scenarios, such 2.5% deviation may result in certain arbitrage activities. As every oracle faces some inevitable outliers, in this table we present selected reports with large deviation values. As you can see in Ampleforce, the market oracle had one evident posting error happened on 5th of March 2020, which has 273% deviation. This is actually a posting error, as when changing the first digital number of the transaction payload, the deviation lowers to only 2.9%. Another interesting anomaly report from MakerDAO and Compound oracles happened on March of last year. Due to the circuit breaker of US stock and the sudden drop of exchange rate. As a result, we can imagine that the current oracle design cannot respond quickly to the real-world breaking event. Let's move on to the second measurement results, failures. For MakerDAO and AmpleForce platform, we discovered that there are several failed reporting transactions by their oracle due to out-of-gas error. Meanwhile, we found a few reporting transactions are reverted by the Ethereum platforms. We assume that such the error comes from the oracle operator do not prepare enough gas and gas price in the reporting transaction. Insufficient gas and gas price may introduce some delay in terms of transaction mining. Therefore, we encourage the oracle operators to monitor the Ethereum performance constantly to adjust the gas and the gas price. Moreover, as Synthetics platform leverages the Chainlink for data feed, we further investigate the nodes of Chainlink. As we can see, the Chainlink nodes also suffer from some reverted transactions when reporting price data. We crawl the entire transaction history of oracles by using the Google's BigQuery database. Then we build the transaction graph and find what the most common addresses oracle interact with, what entity or external account they communicate with, and what interesting activities they are involved in. In the first place, we should conclude that the compound oracle are the most accountable because all transactions are about the price reporting actions. The transaction history doesn't contain any interaction with other actors or services. While in other three platforms, Oracle also interacts with some other entities or actors, especially the MakerDAO's Oracle are involved in token transfer activities. We think it would be better and more secure if an Oracle only fulfills its reporting jobs rather than some other operations. Finally, we try to learn from our observations and give insights on the potential improvements of future Oracle platforms. The methodology of price processing by Oracle are not clearly stated. Even the sources are ambiguous or unknown to the platform users. Currently, no entity is able to examine the process of the price reported by the Oracle. Our first recommendation for future Oracle design is to require Oracle to explicitly declare their manifest. Such a manifest would contain Oracle metadata, such as deployed data sources, intended frequency of Oracle updates, and the precise description of price deviations, and as well as the reaction window for the sudden change in the real world. Oracle should be accountable for their actions. A feasible way is crypto incentives. Therefore, to incentivize Oracle to report more accurate price in promised frequency, we can imagine that the platform implement mechanism that would punish an Oracle violating its manifest or platform policies. For example, the event like late or missing reports. It would require Oracle to deposit some cryptocurrencies ahead. A more fine-grained incentive design may include the security deposit by Oracle first, punishment functionality by authorized punishers, and the dispute resolution mechanism. We leave such incentive design as a future work. As discussed before, Oracle are not free from basic operating issues such as out-of-gas error. So we encourage operators to over-provision them by increasing their gas and gas price. A high price would allow Oracle reports to be appended to the blockchain much faster, since the blockchain network prioritizes more expensive transactions to be added first. Please refer to our paper for more detailed recommendations. In conclusion, in this paper we found that even if Oracle are becoming critical trusted parties, they still suffer from inevitable deviations, obvious outliers, and frequent failures. Furthermore, we provide several constructive recommendations based on our observations. In the future, we plan to investigate the possibility of incentive integration, and we hope the Oracle ecosystem are becoming more and more robust and secure. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to take questions.